I rise, Mr. Speaker, with love for my country at heart. And, Mr. Speaker, if I appear to have a pensive persona, it's because I'm experiencing a melancholy moment. A melancholy moment because some 2 years ago plus, I came to the floor of this House. I stood in the well, and I called for the impeachment of the president. Some 2 years ago, that moment is now at hand. And I do feel a sense of thoughtfulness, pensiveness, because, to be very honest, I'm saddened about what's about to happen. It's not something that I want to see occur in my country. I love my country. This is not something that I came to Congress to be a part of, but it's about to happen. The House will vote. The president will be impeached. After which, his case will go to the Senate. The Senate will have a trial. If the Senate convicts and removes the president from office, this will bring this chapter, this ignoble chapter in presidential history to an end. But if the Senate does not convict, then the president is still subject to impeachment for other acts that are impeachable. I have always brought my articles of impeachment to the floor. I have always had a rationale for my actions. I never said just impeach the president because he ought to be impeached. I never felt that way. I do not feel that way currently. Impeachment is a serious undertaking, and I have always been serious about my actions. So I do believe that if the Senate does not convict, other articles of impeachment may be considered. Currently, we're considering 2 articles of impeachment: abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. But there's much more to be considered. And it is my opinion that we will still have work to do if the Senate does not convict. So to this end, I want to use an example so that people will understand the point that I'm making. The president himself has said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. These are the president's words, and he would not lose his base of support. Well, if he does that with malice aforethought, and if someone is hurt, regardless as to what happens in the Senate, if the Senate does not convict, the president can be brought before the bar of justice again. This is the bar of justice for a president who commits impeachable acts. This is the only place where the president can be brought before the bar of justice while he's president, right here. If he does such a thing with malice aforethought, I would bring articles of impeachment before this august body for consideration. My prayer is that the Senate will do its job and not only receive the articles of impeachment, but also act on them, because I believe that the president ought to be convicted and removed from office. I have said before and I say now, he is unfit to be president. My prayer is that we will soon end this ignoble chapter in presidential history. I love my country, and I stand here with my love for my country at heart, but equally as important, my love for these babies, for people who are being harmed by what this president has done to our society. It fits perfectly in what Alexander Hamilton called to our attention in Federalist 65. For what has happened to our society, I appreciate the articles that are being brought now, but the harm to our society has not been eradicated. And we have an unapologetic president who continues to cause harm to this society in the vein and sense that Alexander Hamilton reminded us would be impeachment. I yield back the balance of my time, Mr. Speaker. I love my country.